All right, so mapping collections. Imagine we have a vehicle with three features. One, two, three. Now we want to update this vehicle. If we call our API with the exact same features, we shouldn't make any modifications to the collection of features in the vehicle object. Now, if we call our API and add a new feature in our vehicle resource, when mapping this vehicle resource to a vehicle object, we should also add this new feature to our vehicle object. So the algorithm we need to implement here is that we need to iterate over the list of features in vehicle resource. And if there is a feature here that we do not have in our vehicle object, then we need to add it to our vehicle object. Now let's take a look at another scenario. So now we have a vehicle with four features. We call our API and exclude feature number 4. Now we need to iterate over the list of features in our vehicle object. And if we have a feature here that does not exist in the vehicle resource, we need to remove it. So this is the proper way to map a vehicle resource to a vehicle object. We cannot always create new vehicle feature objects, because with this, we'll end up with duplicate records in the database, and as you saw in the last lecture, we get a SQL exception. So, to implement this mapping, first we need to load our vehicle along with all its features from the database. So currently we're only loading the vehicle object, but not its features. So here I want to add include v goes to v.features. And of course, we need to import this. Okay. Now, when we call include, we don't have this find async method. So we need to use single or default async. V goes to v.id equals this ID. Okay. Now back to our mapping profile. In order to implement the algorithm I explained, we cannot map the features property using the forMember method, because this way we tell AutoMapper where to find the value for this features property. This is not a matter of a simple assignment. We need to process our objects. We need to iterate over both the source object as well as the target object. So here, I'm going to call ignore, so AutoMapper doesn't attempt to map this property. And then here we call after map. So once all these basic properties are set, then we do some additional processing. This method takes a lambda expression with two arguments: the source object, which is a vehicle resource, and the target object, which is a vehicle object. So that goes to a code block. Now here, we want to remove unselected features. So basically, when editing a vehicle, the user may unselect one or more of these checkboxes. So back to our algorithm. We're going to exclude a feature from this vehicle resource. Now we need to iterate over our vehicle object, and if there is a feature here that does not exist in vehicle resource, which is the source object, we need to remove it. So for each var f in vehicle.features. Now we want to see if this feature exists in our vehicle resource object. So if vehicle resource.features.contains. Now here we're dealing with numbers, with identifiers. So I pass f.id, feature ID. So if we don't have this object in our vehicle resource, then we need to remove it from our vehicle object. So v.features.remove f. However, because we are iterating over this features collection, we cannot modify it. We cannot remove an object. This will throw a runtime exception. So I'm going to create a list here, removed features. New list of vehicle feature. So instead of removing it here, I'm going to add it to this collection. .add f. And once we're done with this, we can iterate over removed features and remove this feature from our vehicle object. So v.features.remove f. Note that here I'm iterating over removed features, so I can modify the features collection of the vehicle object. Now, the second scenario, we're going to add a new feature. So this time we're going to iterate over the features of vehicle resource. And if there's a feature here that we don't have in our vehicle object, we need to add it. So add new features. Here we need to iterate over vehicle resource.features. Now, because these are all identifiers, I want to change the name of this variable to ID. Now we need to look at our vehicle object and see if we don't have a feature with this identifier. So if vehicle.features.any, here we use a lambda expression, f goes to f.featureID equals this ID. Now if you don't have a feature with this identifier, we need to add it to our collection. So v.features.add new vehicle feature, and we initialize it straight away. Feature ID equals this ID. So previously, we were executing this logic for every feature, and that's why we got duplicates. But now with this modification, we execute this logic only for the new features, not the existing ones. All right, so this is how we map these collections. Now there is a second way to write this code, and that's what I'm going to show you in the next lecture.